Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Welcome to today's episode of How Are You Getting Fucked? I'm your host, Louis Rossman, and today we're going to be discussing Carrier air conditioners. This is a post from Patrick Henning on Facebook. Okay, here's my corporate greed call out for the day. I was dispatched today for a no-cool call. The indoor unit was running, he's referring to an air conditioner, but the outdoor unit wasn't. The system was a 10-year-old Bryant Evolution high-end variable capacity inverter system. After running the factory diagnostics, I found code 77, indicating the inverter board was detecting excessive compressor startup current. Following the manufacturer's diagnostic procedure, I disconnected the compressor leads to determine whether the fault was in the compressor or the inverter board. The results confirmed that the inverter board had failed. The system is only 8 months out of warranty. At that point, I started preparing myself to tell the customer the repair would probably be around $1,500 to $1,900. I figured the board would cost somewhere in the $800 to $1,000 range. After all, it's just a printed circuit board. Before giving the estimate, I called Carrier Enterprise for pricing. $8,900. Not for the entire unit, not for a complete system, just the inverter board. That's not a typo. $8,900. In my opinion, this is the definition of engineered obsolescence. There's no reasonable justification for a replacement circuit board on a 10-year-old residential HVAC system to cost nearly $9,000. At that price, you're essentially forcing the homeowner to replace the entire system instead of repairing it. This is exactly why I'll never sell Carrier equipment. They make decent equipment, but pricing replacement parts like this turns a repairable system into a disposable one. Homeowners deserve better than that. Carrier, Carrier Enterprise, or anyone that sells this shit. Care to elaborate why this board is so expensive? I did a little bit of research to try and find out why it is so expensive. And what I learned was, well, not much. So Carrier has answered the price question on the record for equipment. In an April 8th, 2026 ACHR news piece by Joanna Turpin, Nick Arch, President or Vice President and General Manager of Residential Solutions at Carrier, named 5 drivers of residential equipment price increases: federal efficiency regulations, updated Department of Energy testing procedures, the transition to lower GWP refrigerants, commodity and component and cost increases, and increased equipment sophistication and labor manufacturing and wage inflation. Arch says pricing reflects real cost inputs, not opportunistic increases or margin expansion. So I decided to do a little bit of research on this and look into what other brands charge for similar products. I found that for a Lennox XC25 or XP25 system at the same retailer that you could find one of these parts for $8,400, they were selling it for $2,422.52 for a 4-ton and $3,480.91 for a 5-ton. And for Goodman, York, and Reboards, you could find them from $725 to $1,200 to $1,800 for the same tonnage. An inverter board is not the most complicated technology in the world in 2026. If we're talking about a laptop, laptops used to use fluorescent screens, which use AC, but your laptop battery uses DC. So the inverter board was the device that would convert the DC from your battery into AC for your screen, for your screen's backlight. In an HVAC unit, the inverter board is what's going to be supplying power to the compressor, and the more advanced ones have a functionality where they will adjust what they're sending to the compressor. So sometimes you may need it to be on at full blast, and sometimes you may just need it to be on at a lower amount of power so that it just keeps your room cool on a day that's slightly warm. It's more efficient to have the AC running for a longer period of time at a lower amount of power than it is to use the insane amount of power it takes to get the compressor really working and then turn it off, and then a few minutes later get the compressor working and turn it off. It makes the device a lot more efficient. I actually fell for this idea a few years ago when I needed to replace the air conditioner in my home. I was looking at getting one of these very high efficiency Carrier units, and the small business locally owned HVAC guy told me, I could sell this to you if you want it, but whatever you save in efficiency on your electric bill is going to be made up for when you're paying $5,000 to $15,000 in parts, not because of me, but because of them. And I'm very glad that I listened to him because I'm ignorant when it comes to HVAC equipment. If I had not listened to him, I would have bought one of these units. I wound up getting a Goodman, or as he refers to it, good enough. And I think the thing that's crazy here is that they are willing to say that all these prices are a result of all these other things, in spite of the fact that you can look at other reputable providers and they have prices that are anywhere from 30% and sometimes 10% theirs for the same thing. I'm very curious, if you do HVAC stuff for a living, do the people that do HVAC stuff for a living in my audience, do you fix these after you're done replacing it for a customer and resell them, or do you just throw them on a batch somewhere? And if you do, where can I find these? I'm half kidding, but it's very possible that I'm in the wrong industry and that fixing these types of boards could be much more lucrative than actually doing data recovery, and much more necessary given how hot things have been recently. I'm very curious for the people watching, are you more or less likely to purchase a Carrier unit when you see what the prices are? The thing that I notice most of all when I'm looking at this is that I don't even think that that's a price that you're supposed to pay. I think this is a case case of having a say no price. So there are times where a company wants to be able to say that they do technically offer a repair or a part. They don't want it to look like they said no because that's bad optics. So instead of saying, no, we don't do that, they will say yes for this amount of money. So I recently got a 1-star review on Google Maps for to fix a product that I've never advertised a repair for in my life. I have never advertised, claimed that we do repairs on this. Somebody sent in a repair of something without calling or emailing first, and we said we don't fix that. And because I said no, I got a 1-star review. And one of the strategies that repair people will employ is, instead of saying no, because that can hurt somebody's feelings, is they can say yes, that will cost $8,900. And this may seem silly to you, but in many cases that does actually work. That does make people less likely to be as aggravated and annoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that this is something that is an actual price that you're designed to pay? Or do you think this is the fuck you buy a new one price and you're actually supposed to just buy a new one and not repair the old one? And secondly, more importantly, are you more or less likely to consider Carrier for your HVAC needs if you actually need an air conditioner installed when you see the prices? I'm going to leave a link down below in the description for anybody who wants to see all the sources for all the different vendors that I went to try and find the prices for this board and comparable boards for other units made by other companies. And it's also going to have the quotations and the links to those quotations from the people who work at Carrier who are justifying these insane fucking prices. And if you're listening, shout out to the HVAC dude that told me that I should not buy a Carrier. I am very, very happy with my decision. More so with every passing day. See you in the next video. Bye now.